Brodes Media.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome on into Sports Talk with Brodes. Today, we will be doing an Ask Me Anything pod. So, because there's no local sports on tonight, which sucks, I want to see the Sixers. I want to see Tyrese Maxey. I want to see John Tortorella behind the bench. But unfortunately, we need to wait. So what I decided to do was open up the Anytime hotline and gave you all the ability to call in, to text in, and just shoot random questions my way, a smorgasbord, if you will, of Phillies, Eagles, Sixers, Flyers. There's there's no categorizing here. It's sporadic. I don't know what team is coming next. Throw it at me, and we'll see what ends up happening here. Before we start jumping to the phones, though, I have to tell you about my friends over at MyBookie. If you found a $100 bill, let's be honest, you wouldn't walk right past it, right? So why are you passing up on cashing winners every single week? MyBookie has the biggest online selection of odds and contests to fill all your sports betting needs anytime, anywhere. So you could turn that sports knowledge into cash in your wallet. Bet on the NFL. Bet on the NBA, the NHL, college hoops, college football, or even play for a share of big cash prizes in the weekly blackjack tournaments. If you've been waiting for the right time to get in on the action, let me tell you something. That time is right now. Make your winning move today. Sign up in MyBookie and use promo code BRODES and claim your deposit match. It's redeemable up to $1,000. Again, that's promo code BRODES to claim your bonus. Experience the thrill of sports betting right from the comfort of your home. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere, only with MyBookie. Okay, normally during some post-game pods, I'll talk for 20 minutes. I'll talk for 25 minutes with the idea of getting to you way earlier. I'm an idiot. I don't shut up. It's been a problem in my life since I was 3 years old. All right, my mother walking around the house just screaming at the top of her lungs, "Zip it!" I don't know how to. So I'm going to right now. We probably already should have been to the phones, but this is me being a dope. I apologize. I'm going to zip it, as Lisa Brody would say, and we'll get to the phones, and let's fire these puppies off. Let's do it.
Yo, bros, it's MCE Amazing again. Thank you very much, as always, for supporting Philly sports. My question is, based on what you've seen so far, I mean, I know it's the beginning of the season for the Sixers. I know it is. But dare we hope for something other than making it out of the second round? Dare we hope for an Eastern Conference Finals win? Dare we even hope to win it all, to take the whole damn thing? I mean, I'm loving what I'm seeing from Maxey. I mean, my God, 50 points. Jesus Christ. I mean, like, this guy he's a wonder kid, man. Every day he just like completely like shatters expectations. Joel Embiid is doing great. I mean, like the whole team as a whole is magnificent. So dare we hope for a finals win? I mean, like, I don't know. I want to. I really do. Anyway, thanks a lot, bros. Talk to you later.
Appreciate the call. I love that. It's a good way to start things off. If you don't hope for all that right now, then why are you in this? What are you in this for? And I don't think that we're being sold some slop and some garbage and we're just devouring it and not really understanding what you currently have in the organization. And what I mean is you have an MVP. Before you even talk about an Eastern Conference Finals berth, before you even talk about winning the Eastern Conference and getting to an NBA championship run, you need an MVP caliber guy, whether it's someone who wins it or someone who's in the top 3 of the race. That is your starting point before you actually can compete for the trophy. Well, you have that. You need a secondary star. I just watched Tyrese Maxey drop 50. I just watched him score 7 threes in 11 attempts. Not 20 attempts. In 11 attempts, my man is cooking. All right, he is needed everywhere, and he helps close out a game. He's absurd. He's blocking guys, too. His defense has even elevated. He is taking the league by storm. He's about to be an all-star after all-star after all-star after all-star caliber weapon. So you have the two most important pieces to the equation. Now we have a very unique, specialized coach in regards to being tactician. Okay, that sentence didn't flow the way I wanted it to. But in regards to having a tactician, we haven't seen this at all, and you're seeing the difference it makes. And quite frankly, there's only about 3 or 4 of those guys in the entire league, but now you have one because his time ran out in Toronto. They wanted to make a different move. He was there for quite some time. Eventually, there's always time for something fresh. Okay, we'll take advantage of that. It's the perfect time to move on from Doc Rivers. Let's get this guy incorporated into Philadelphia, and bada bing, bada boom, you move James Harden and you have depth. So there's plenty of reasons to think this team has a damn good shot. Now, that doesn't mean it's automatic. That doesn't mean they definitely beat the Boston Celtics in a 7-game series. It doesn't automatically mean that they get out of the Eastern Conference, but they definitely have a fantastic shot. They have beautiful odds, and it's not unrealistic to think that you should have all your emotions out on the table rooting and hoping that they can get there. If they didn't have Joel, and let's say they were 5-5, and Joel's unhappy because James Harden's not here, the returning pieces were blah, nothing was clicking, Tobias Harris was struggling, there's some internal debate about how everything was handled with Harden. Should they have tried to bring him back and see if he would put on a jersey again, even though Daryl Morey's here, right? If there was some conflicts happening and it wasn't passing the smell test, then by all means, it would be foolish to jump all in and put both feet into the waters. But they're 8-1 right now. They're playing the best basketball we've seen. Everybody's moving. Everybody's cutting. The two-man game, the pick and roll between Embiid and Maxey is borderline unstoppable currently. Yes, you should have all the hope. Don't let previous teams dictate where you are now, because Ben Simmons not shooting a basketball and how that impacted your offense doesn't matter right now with this group. PJ Tucker not being a threat and once again playing 4-on-5 in half-court basketball, it screws you, and now you are hurting big time. It makes it that much harder for Embiid and anybody else to operate, even someone like Tobias. Now that it's 5-on-5 and everybody's willing to shoot, that extra space for every single person on the floor, yeah, the efficiency that he's playing with right now, there's a correlation with it being 5-on-5 and the defenders having to be aware of every single spot on the court. Believe. Let them know we're with you here. And guess what? What's the worst case scenario? I just went through this with the Phillies in back-to-back seasons, more heartbroken this most recent run because they should have beat a Diamondbacks team that sucks. But what's the worst thing that happens? I felt it too with that Philadelphia Eagles team last year at the half in the Super Bowl. We cry. We're pissed. We're in awe. For 48, 72 hours, there's a fog. And then we get the hell over it and get back to the next team that's playing. All right, the Sixers are done. It's time. Phillies, let's go on another run. That's what you do. You pick yourself back up. You're emotionally distraught. And then you move on. Now, sometimes it's always sitting in the back of your mind. I'll never get over Game 4 against the Diamondbacks. I'll never get over the NLCS. But look at us right now with this 8-1 football team after they lost last year in the Super Bowl. We're ready to attack again. So what? So that might be what happens. I'll take that because there's a reason to invest in this group. If there wasn't, I'd be the first one to say, put your guard up. I wouldn't dip both feet in, maybe just a toe, maybe 2 toes, leave 8 toes dry. But that's not where I'm at with this group, not right now. Kelly Oubre has been magnificent. And think about what it's going to be like energy-wise when he returns and how much this city is going to embrace him and squeeze him and hug him and show him all the love in the world. And I bet you he goes out and balls, too, okay? He goes out and puts up a 25 spot in Game 1 at the Wells Fargo Center when he gets back from the injuries he's dealing with. It's going to be amazing. So, my answer, if you don't hope, then why are you a Sixers fan? Why are you a sports fan? There's a lot to grab onto. If it was fake, if they didn't have enough, and they may very well may not have enough. Maybe that ends up being the results, and we learn that over time. But we don't know right now. And when I compare them to the rest of the Eastern Conference, maybe they don't have enough against Boston by the time it's all said and done. I'm not saying that now. I'm saying if they were to play in 7, and let's say they lose in 7, and it's another crushing one, I'm just saying, I don't want to speak it into the universe, but if it happens, that could possibly be a scenario. Then I'll deal with it afterwards. But to think that they have enough to go toe-to-toe with the best teams in the Eastern Conference right now isn't anything outrageous. It's not stupid. It's not dumb. It's not pathetic. It's not watching basketball through blue-colored glasses where you're only feeling confident just because you're biased and you love this team. I'm objectively, basketball-wise, thinking how they can match up with Boston. In years past, it was size. They didn't have the length. They didn't have the wing defenders. Well, I see Robert Covington right now. I see athleticism with House. I see this team completely constructed in a way that can actually hang in theory. Now, if someone doesn't play well and they don't play up to their capabilities, that's different. But schematically, I think they have some answers that they didn't have in years past. All right? Sorry. I'm moving my screen around trying to get to the phone calls. Oh, man, I'm all out of whack. Normally we do a show with one team as the main topic, and now my brain's, I can't get to the folder, even though the folder's the normal folder that I use when I talk about the same team for the entire 30 minutes. I don't know. Forget me. I'm out to lunch.
So many topics to choose from here, but we'll stick with the Eagles for now. My question is this: now that the bye week has come and gone, and you're getting into what everybody says is the murderer's row of the schedule, starting with Kansas City, what kind of adjustments on both sides of the ball, if any, do you anticipate seeing? For instance, is this the time when the greatness that is Rashad Penny is going to be unleashed in the second half of the year? Or are we saving him for meaningless games like Arizona, only to watch him walk out the door at season's end? And what are we going to do about the defense? Do you expect the side to make any kind of adjustments? Or is it going to be the same passive, Gannon-style death-by-paper cuts defense that we've been used to seeing? Also, how much influence does Nick Sirianni have over these, coaching decisions? Because in my opinion, at least defensively, we can't play against Patrick Mahomes the way we played against Dak Prescott. If we do, it's going to be over by halftime. Your thoughts? Thank you, sir.
Okay, a lot to chew on, Sean. Appreciate your call as always. The Penny thing, I would have thought he had time by now. And maybe this is just what it is. The writing is on the wall. If they haven't used him yet, then he's probably not a part of the plan unless somebody goes down with an injury and they view him as it's a really good bonus for him to be on our bench And if needed to be called upon, he's a good security blanket to have. He's not doing well enough to start over anybody else. He's not showing us enough in training camp and in practice to jump over anyone in the pecking order. But if someone is injured and someone does end up having to miss time, well, guess what? Other teams are plucking random scrubs off the random streets, right? I mean, they're just random. They're hanging around. You're throwing out a fishing line and praying to God somebody bites and someone could step in behind your offensive line and do extremely well. Well, the Eagles, God damn, I'm sorry. I told you I don't do this often. The Eagles, you can pull Rashad Penny off the practice squad, elevate him, and bada bing, bada boom, you're ready to rock. So I think that's basically his role at this current time. The thing is about Sean Desai and the way that the defense is playing, and the Dallas Cowboys shredded them to pieces, and Dak Prescott had a really good day throwing the football. You know, in my eyes, it really is more about he doesn't necessarily want to play the way that he's playing every single snap, but due to desperation and where your injuries are with your secondary, he's forced to play this way because doing anything else might expose them even more. It may result in a few drives that are death by a billion paper cuts, but if you were to do something else, Josh Jobe and Eli Ricks and anybody else you throw out there, we like Sidney Brown, but he's very raw, he's very new at this, and you're asking him to do certain things. If you put too much on their platter, well, then you might get hurt way differently and get abused differently, and maybe this gives you the best chance. You still may get stabbed, and you still may get stung, but the stabbing and the stinging would be way worse if he elected to do certain things that he would do with better talent on his defense. I think Sean Desai is very creative. He's very willing to try different things. He'll throw a new nickel corner out there basically every single play, it seems, to start out a game. Here's CeeDee Lamb. Let's put let's put in this guy. Let's throw in Slay. Okay, that wasn't all working, so we'll point to the corner who is one of the most electric that we have in Slay. He's very versatile and very quick on his toes to try something differently when he doesn't like it. I think a lot of this Sean Desai stuff, though, even though every DC at this rate is basically a form of Vic Fangio, it's funny, I was texting one of my buddies who's a Dallas Cowboys fan. What an absolute loser he is. But yeah, he is a Dallas Cowboys fan, and he was talking about the game, and he texted me saying, well, if we didn't play a certain way on third downs and we were more aggressive, and I started laughing because you could probably say that to any NFL fan out there right now. I'm sure 90% of the fans are disgusted with the lackadaisical, I'm not going to blitz, I'm going to keep my guys back, we'll play the sticks, blah, 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 blah. Trust me, we've heard it a billion times since Jim Schwartz. I think every fan base in the world can throw out all sorts of frustration on third downs and why were they being so passive-aggressive and all that stuff. So it's just sort of part of coaching in this era, specifically on the defensive side. I love Sean Desai, and I think he's doing a lot of good stuff. But yeah, you're dealing with Eli Ricks and Josh Jobe and Sidney Brown, and that's a lot of inexperience back there. When Reed Blankenship was not injured, and then Edmonds was there, you end up moving Edmonds. I'm a little disappointed in, sorry, I'm drawing a blank here. Tennessee Titans, you made the trade. Byard. And maybe Sean Desai needed a few weeks to figure out what works best for him. In coverage, sometimes you want to throw up. So maybe we have to utilize him in a different way, then ask someone else to do something differently that you thought maybe Byard could do as soon as you made the trade. I'm just throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks here. But that's how I sort of dissect your question here. And when does Sirianni step in? He probably allows the defense to do what the defense wants to do under Sean Desai because he has faith in him, just like he shows faith in all of his players and the locker room. He'll communicate with Brian Johnson more, is my guess, as they collaborate on an offensive game plan. Before we continue, let me tell you about TickPick. If you click the link down below in the description right now, my code Brodes is already activated with that link. If you go to a Flyers game, a Sixers game, an Eagles game, and you spend over $99 for your tickets, I can give you an extra $10 off thanks to our friends at TickPick, as long as you click the link down below and get yourself to a game from there. And they have the best prices out there, guaranteed. So much so that they guarantee it. If you find the same seats on a different market out there, you won't. But if you find the same seats for a better price, you won't. But if you do, they will give you 110% in the difference in TickPick credit. But they have the best prices on the market, and there's no more doing the math. All right, that sucks when you have to do the math and you say, well, the tickets are 120, but by the time I check out, they're 220. No. No BS involved. The price you see at checkout is the price you pay at the end of the day, period, end of story. So definitely get yourself to a game now. What are you waiting for? You want to see Joel Embiid with your own two eyeballs. You want to see Nick Nurse walking up and down the court on the sidelines there, getting all fiery or dapping up someone after they have a great outing. They go to the bench, and he gives them a high five as they put a towel around their neck. That's what it's all about. Don't be a fool. Take the $10 free right off my hands, all right, and get yourself to a game. Wow, I only took 2 calls, and we're 22 minutes in. I'm doing that thing where I talk a lot more than I probably wanted to. I don't know. Let's take the next call.
Hey, Brodes. My name's Levi. I'm calling from North Carolina. Long-time listener, long-time fan. So here are my questions for you. Would you rather trade for Mike Trout? Would you trade Nick Castellanos for Mike Trout? Would that be acceptable? That's the only trade I can think of where I'm okay letting Cassie go. And then another trade question, but for the Sixers, who do you think would be the best fit for the Sixers to trade for by the deadline for us to make a push? Have a great day. Thank you so much. Keep up doing what you're doing.
Oh, thank you, man. All right, we'll pick apart the Phillies thing first. And, you're not going to trade Nick Castellanos and get Mike Trout in return. It doesn't make much sense for the Angels to do anything like that. But if your idea is more along the lines of, if we are to trade Nick Castellanos to whatever team is out there that is willing to bring him in and acquire him and add him to the mix of whatever they have going for them, and you eventually somehow down the road in this offseason, Dave Dombrowski brings in another outfielder, and that outfielder happens to be Mike Trout, if that's more of the scenario, yeah, I'd sign up for that in a heartbeat. There are years where Mike Trout is putting up 40 home runs. Back in 2022, he did it. Back in 2019 or so, he did it. I mean, he's a career over 300 hitter. Yeah, the injuries are a concern at times, and he does miss a little bit of time, but he's a right-handed bat, and I don't like talking about it only because I do think it's far-fetched. I don't think it's as real as we want it to be, and I know he's from Millville, and he's from South Jersey, and, well, if Shohei Ohtani leaves, what's the purpose for the Los Angeles Angels to keep him? And wouldn't he want to go play for a team that's a contender, and maybe they can get out of that contract and blah, 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 blah? Yeah, you could chalk yourself into it a billion different ways, but until it has more fire, until there's more smoke to it, I think it's more just a reach. And to be fair, I guess that's what this is all about, right? Sports talk radio and all these podcasts and discussing what this team could be and what they can do to improve. There's nothing wrong with having an imaginary or an imagination, there you go, and dream a little, right? Where would we be in life if you're not able to dream? I get it, but I don't know how realistic it is, so sometimes I don't feel right consuming it. Would I do it? Would I trade Castellanos if I know in the long run you can bring in Mike Trout? Absolutely. Do I want to trade Nick Castellanos? No. And it was already shut down that wasn't going to happen, and the Phillies view him as a big part of their clubhouse and a big part of their postseason success and their postseason runs. I don't know if Dave Dombrowski saw that it was getting out there and the news got leaked, so then he had to cover it up. That's what it smelled like to me. It was a cover-up by the Phillies when Buster Olney, who's a national reporter, counters someone who wrote it for MLB.com. It looks like the Phillies are trying to control the situation to not get someone unhappy. Maybe Nick Castellanos wasn't informed. Maybe Dave Dombrowski did inform him, though, and say, look, we're going to be honest with you. We may see what calls come in. We may see what's available on the market. We love you, and we want to bring you back, but we're just testing the waters. Maybe that's possible, but I think there's legitimacy to them wondering what they can do with Nick Castellanos as a very hot and cold player, and is that their downfall? Because when he's scorching, oh baby, there's nothing like it, and you can take down the Braves. But when he's ice cold, along with Bohm and every single other player in your batting order, JT and Stott, and the list goes on and on and on, well, you're screwed. You're screwed. The other part of the question was what? Sixers related. Who would I bring in? I'd stay put. I'll go down swinging with this crew. It's just as simple as that. I like what they're building. I like what they're doing. I want to try something different. I've already seen the star hunting a billion times. I like the depth of this team. I like the bodies. I like what all of them provide. I like the length. I like the defense. I love the attitude. I love the way that they take the floor. I like the camaraderie. I'm staying put right now. I'm not going out of my way and searching. I like this group.
What's going on, Brodes? I'm wondering what's going on with the Matvei Michkov situation. Things are looking good, and when you think he'll be able to get over here to the U.S., and how long you think it's going to take for Cutter to make his way into the NHL? You think he'll be starting next season? Thanks, man.
Great questions, a little Fly Guys action, talking puck. Cutter Gauthier should be here next year. I've been watching a lot of Boston College on the ESPN Plus app. They're basically on every single Friday and Saturday. I'm a big fan of watching him play. He should be here. 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 All right, I want to see Cutter Gauthier next season. Matvei Michkov, I know the Flyers did all their research prior to snagging him during the draft. He's tearing up the KHL right now as a teenager playing against grown men. He was a healthy scratch for his one team. Apparently, the coach is similar to Tortorella. I guess he was in the doghouse. He was similar to that Morgan Frost role. He goes to a different team, bada bing, bada boom. In about 22 games, he racks up 20 points, 10 goals, 10 assists. This kid's a star in the making, and I don't know if he has to play out his entire contract that he has with Russia. Maybe the Flyers can figure out a way to pluck him over here sooner. But he'll be here in a couple of seasons, and that will take a little bit longer. There's no doubt, though, that he is super skilled. The way he sees the ice, sometimes I check out these highlights because I try and keep up with them as much as humanly possible, and the passes that he makes, they don't make sense. His ability to score makes no sense. The dude's a legit weapon. So you have two kids that could really be the face of your franchise moving forward in your pipeline, and Cutter should be here before Matvei Michkov, but Matvei Michkov's ceiling is, I could be a face of the league type. He could be that good where people who love the sport are checking in and tuning in to what the Flyers are doing on a nightly basis because he's so flat out ridiculous. He's tearing up the KHL. He's playing grown men. Grown men. He's a teenager. That's so hard to do. So hard to do. All right, let's go to Nolan.
What's going on, Brodes? Hope you're doing well. I have a couple of questions for you about the current state of the Phillies going into the offseason. My first question is, do the Phillies re-sign Aaron Nola? And if not, do they go after Blake Snell or Sonny Gray to solidify the number 2 spot in the rotation? Secondly, with Craig Kimbrell gone, do you see them possibly targeting a guy like David Bednar or Josh Hader to solidify the closure role? And finally, do the Phillies do the impossible and go after Mike Trout, or do we avoid him because of his injury history and try to find another solid outfield bat? Anyway, thanks for taking my call. Looking forward to the show. Hope you have a great night, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Nolan. I appreciate that. Before I answer those questions, though, I want to tell you about my friends over at HelloFresh. A crazy schedule can make it easy to fall back into your dinner time recipe rut. Tonight, I made barbecue pineapple pepper flatbread, and this thing, it was so damn good. I literally went to HelloFresh right after I made it and ate it, and I ordered a bunch more, including another package of that. All right, now keep mealtime exciting with over 40 recipes to choose from every week. There's always something delicious to discover with HelloFresh. HelloFresh does all the shopping and meal planning for you. The ingredients arrive at your doorstep pre-portioned and ready to cook, along with pictured step-by-step recipe cards. How easy is that? HelloFresh is 25% less expensive than takeout, so that means you get easy home-cooked meals on the table and even more money back into your pocket. So go to HelloFresh.com/50Brodes and use code 50Brodes for 50% off plus free shipping. That's code 50Brodes and use code 50Brodes for 50% off and free shipping. HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit. Similar to some of the other sponsors I work with, if you click the link down below, it'll bring you right to the website with my code already activated on it. So do that and don't be a fool. Okay. The questions. Aaron Nola. Do I think they re-sign Aaron Nola? I don't. There's some speculation that the Cardinals and the Braves are in. Now, originally, I thought it would make no sense for the Braves to get him because they don't spend that type of money. Now, it was being clipped for social, and I guess there was someone on MLB Network, I believe. Don't quote me. I believe it was MLB Network. I forget who the reporter was. But because they cost cut and saved so much with their contracts with their everyday players, they'd be willing to go land a big splash in free agency and with certain pitchers on their current contracts that are going to end soon. Maybe Aaron Nola makes the most sense, and they do have a lot of money because of, you know, some of these deals that blow our minds and how they get some of these young kids and barely spending a lot of cash on them. Well, they can make up for spending big-time money on Aaron Nola because of it. It makes a lot of sense to me in theory. Will they actually do it? Well, that's another question. Sonny Gray was also mentioned for them, though. Do I think they go out and get Aaron Nola? I don't. I don't think the Phillies land Aaron Nola. I don't. And that's going to sting. And Dave Dombrowski, you got a big offseason ahead of you. He knows it. And that's why, to answer your bullpen question, he saw what Craig Kimbrell was. He saw what he was missing. There's no doubt that Dave Dombrowski is dreaming every single night of a big-armed bullpen piece that he can heavily rely on with the game on the line. All right, I wonder if Hector Neris makes another return to Philadelphia. I think that can help bolster the back of the bullpen for sure. You know I love Jose Alvarado, and I think he could be sensational for you in big-time matchups, even though they like to use him as a weapon with certain lefties more so than we need the ninth inning, go get 3 outs. It's more what pocket do we use Alvarado in? If it's the 7th inning with a man on second and third and here's a big lefty up, well, this is our Jose Alvarado time, and then you need someone with more meat and potatoes that can go in the ninth. Dave Dombrowski is very aware of the situation at hand, and there's no one else I'd rather have in the position of president of baseball ops than Dave Dombrowski. I don't think they get Mike Trout. I don't. I don't. I appreciate the call there, Nolan, and we'll wrap things up with this one here. This is from my man Boyle, who shot me a text and said, this is for the Ask Me Anything pod. It's a scary thought, but with the Sixers' track record in the playoffs, I ask you this. What happens if Joel wants out after the season? If it doesn't end well, or if he isn't satisfied with how far we get and he asks out, what's best case scenario if he leaves the Sixers? For the record, I love him. I'm just scared of what the near future might hold because he doesn't owe the city anything, in my opinion, and he's given it his all. Okay, here's my initial thoughts to that text, Boyle. I think that there was a lot of drama. Okay, there was a lot of crap that he put up with over the years and a lot of Bush League garbage from every GM, from every head coach until now. They got all of that out of here. And I think if they do, in a weird, crazy world where they get to a Game 7 again, and you're dealing with the same nonsense again, and they don't reach the Eastern Conference Finals, but him and Maxey and everybody else collectively as a group go to war, and it's a battle, and it's well-respected, and it's another resilient effort, but they just can't get their way over the hump because of the makeup of this team with the connection, and there's no one holding you back and dragging you down and really hurting you in the way that Ben Simmons and James Harden did. I think those are the factors that would remove Joel Embiid from this city and want him to be gone. If Maxey's putting up 50 and Maxey's balling out, he looks at Maxey and Nick Nurse as, I could win with this. Let's keep going. I want to win. I'm hungry. I love this damn place. They brought me in as family. There's nothing better than Philly. I'm here. And you know he feels that way about this. What I think would push him away is all the stuff he's already dealt with. But if there's a clean slate and it's fresh and there's good vibes and there's good people and there's guys with work ethic the way Maxey's at the gym at 5 a.m., a smile on his face every day that he's putting up shots, and there's a good group of guys that really have what it takes to embrace what Joel Embiid wants to do, which is win a championship. And I think right now they have all of that in their room. And also the general manager, or I should say the president of basketball ops, everything that would scare me into him leaving, that's not a part of this picture currently. I think it's less about the noise and the who than it is the result, to a degree. They keep getting bounced out in first rounds, and he sees no light at the end of the tunnel different. But I think you could see more light at the end of the tunnel with this core than with other cores, if that makes sense. He's not dealing with someone not shooting a basketball. You have money now with Tobias Harris off the books, too, after next year to maybe make a splash. You have some assets. You got first-round draft picks back in return pick swaps. There's things here that are appealing for him to stay for the love of the city with a great chance to also win the trophy at the same time. So I'm not as panicked as you are there. If Harden was back and they were going 0 for 4 in Harden's return and he thinks that he's the system and he's chucking up air balls, then by all means I'd be right there with you. But I think you might be hitting a little overreaction right now. Let's just enjoy it because there's no reason to have that in the back of your mind currently with this makeup. That's my thoughts. All right? Hey, I had a blast. I love that. I'll be honest with you. I love that. I appreciate all you guys. I love you to death. Thank you all so much. And we'll be talking very, very soon.